the philosophy around minting this NFT into a record and essentially controlling the life of that NFT. Can you just like when I explain NFTs to my father, he's like, "Okay, so you own the NFT and it's yours and that's your intellectual property." Can you talk a little bit about this IP concept? I read on your website about the CC0, like Creative Commons Zero. Can you just give a little background on that so for the interested listener?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the other things that we decided on pretty early was to make sure that, all licensing, we wanted to basically simplify licensing as far as possible, right? And the easiest and most comprehensive solution in our minds was to put all the licensing in the public domain. So essentially, the public owns the rights. So we don't own any of the rights to the actual music, and it simplifies it and it allows us to empower our community to really explore their creativity. Because now, and we're already seeing it today, if a collector wants to use one of their songs as an intro to a podcast, they can do
Mm-hmm.
that. There's no licensing
It's a
issues.
good idea.
Um, some of them kind of use the MIDI creations, combining two zero X DJs and then put them on SoundCloud. They can do that. There's no issue. So really, the idea behind the CC0 licensing is to remove any obstacles and allow people to fully explore their creativity. And they've taken it to places that we as creators didn't even imagine. So we've had some collectors using it as background music when they're playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
Some use it as a fun way to kind of create new things with their kids on the weekend. So that was our vision, really, to empower collectors to do what they want with it by removing the obstacles of licensing.
Awesome.
That's probably what. Well, let me ask this question to you guys. Do you see this as the new frontier of music rights using blockchain technology?
I think so. I mean, I think there are definitely issues, right, in Web 2 with music rights. Um, CC0 is one, definitely a clean solution. But for artists that want to own their work, they may explore other licensing mechanisms. Um, I've seen like a lot of projects essentially giving commercial rights to the collectors, right? So that's another kind of offshoot where where you create music as an artist, but whoever buys your art then has full commercial rights, and that makes a lot of sense to me as well, because if you think about it, like an NFT is essentially just a certificate of ownership or something, right? So it's a digital certificate because any art that you see, especially if it's visual art, anybody can right click save that. So everybody has access to that art; they can enjoy it. But what really drives value is the certificate of ownership and authenticity, right? So with that certificate, now you should be able to do whatever you want with it. Otherwise, what's the point of owning something? Because you could have downloaded it and experienced all of the value for yourself anyway, right? So that's my view, that it needs to have some sort of ownership associated with it in order to really drive value for collectors.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that. Licensing in Web 2, especially with music, is insanely complicated. Like when you think about all of the legacy infrastructure in place, ASCAP, BMI, publisher rights, all this stuff, it's very hard for even the most experienced veterans in the industry to explain any of this. And what this essentially creates is a lot of, in my opinion, fluff and a lot of inefficiency, right? So this is basically compounded by the fact that Web 2 doesn't have a tech native settlement layer for value, right? So we're going into a little off topic here, but Web 2 is very good with basically the free flow of information. But when you think about value, which is basically all of life, is basically comes down to exchanging value, right? So that was never built in. And what basically NFTs allow us to do in my view, is remove a lot of these inefficiencies because we have something that's now a first-class citizen of the internet, with cryptographically signed authenticity, something that's basically resilient, that's going to last 1,000 years or more, So I think NFTs are going to simplify every part of the music pipeline in ways we really could not have imagined, from the creation of music to the distribution of music. So yeah, that's really my 2 cents. I'm very, very bullish on music NFTs in general.
Nice.